Well, here we are. We're doing our Decoding the Gut class. Let me go ahead and share our screen. Oh, I have to click present again. Okay, awesome. All righty. Well, I'm Kim Ureta. I'm a recovery wellness coach. I've been teaching essential oil classes for 12 years, and I used to be a colon hydrotherapist. And the joke is I'm not the plumber anymore. You know anything about colon hydrotherapy? I needed it for my body for about 3 years. And then when I got sick of it, it started to stink. I'm like, I think I'm done with this. So I switched to essential oils, which are a lot more pleasant. So I've got my friend Dena Woulfe here, who is a retired nurse and a functional holistic nurse. And she is the food detective. So she does scans on people and helps them figure out what foods they need to avoid to get their health back. And she also has been teaching essential oils for 12 years. So I love that we can marry our allopathic and Eastern medicine together, so that, yeah, we've got it all. You want to add anything to that?
No, you did a great job. Thank you. I'm excited to be here and decode this gut. So our objectives for tonight are to help you understand there is a gut emotional link, and there's also there's a physical component, an emotional component that go together. Their gut brain axis is a big, huge connection, and we find out more and more and more every single day. And we want to help you also identify some of your underlying digestive emotional connections that you may be experiencing personally, and then how to unburden your body by processing those emotions in a safe, effective, and holistic way. So we're going to talk about all that tonight.
Oh, it's me. So I get to tell my story.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, I was a colon hydrotherapist, but how I found that is my mom, when I was 17, I was on lots of different kinds of medications, psych meds. I was in and out of rehabs for eating disorders and alcohol abuse. And so consequently, since we had such great insurance, I was on lots of stuff, and it was wreaking havoc on my digestive system and making me not really have access to my emotions. And so through cleansing and, being able to actually use the restroom on a regular basis, because you know how medications can clog people up. So I got the healing I needed, and I got that faith in my body again, because the doctors were telling me that I needed to stay on these meds for the rest of my life, and that my body wouldn't heal itself. And nobody ever talked to me about nutrition at all. There was no conversations about what I was or what I was drinking, how much water was I drinking. So when I started being surrounded by these helpful and supportive and knowledgeable women at this wellness center, they're like, you need to drink more water. You can't have diet soda. You need probiotics, you need vegetables in your life. And things that are really obvious to us now in 2023, but in 2007, to me at 18 years old, that was new, because I was living on the trucker diet, eating McDonald's and drinking soda. And so it's, to me now it's a no-brainer, but still I meet people that this is a new concept. So I'm happy to share my journey. And I was telling my son this afternoon, I wouldn't change it, because it's who I am now. And it's why I have the passion to share with other people. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely. And so my journey, I've actually been a nurse for 20 years, and I met Kim about 12, 13 years ago. And what's interesting is one of her coworkers I would go see for colonics. And at the time, I remember I had this horrible PMS that I was dealing with when I went in for my colonic. And Tiffany, your coworker, she had put some essential oils on me, and I was like, I left there and I was like, okay, like I feel completely less bloated. Normally you feel less bloated after getting colonic anyway, but I felt like less irritable. My skin felt better, like less tight. So I would get some acne and stuff back then too, quite a bit. And I was just like, what the heck did you put on me? And so she goes, hey, we're doing an event on essential oils. Kim's going to be talking. You're welcome to come. And then at the time, my mom was dealing with a whole bunch of issues. She had rheumatoid arthritis, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, hypothyroid, plantar fasciitis. She was pre-diabetic, 60 pounds overweight, and she was passing out from her blood pressure meds, and she was getting anaphylactic reactions from her allergy shots. And so we introduced her to essential oils and put her on that night and put her on a whole new path to wellness. And then, of course, I was like, what the heck is this stuff? It's absolutely amazing. I feel like I could do more with it than I can with my Western training. And so married the two together, and it's been an amazing blessing ever since as well. And so we're going to go through tonight some of the wonderful things that we've learned and how to deal with some gut and emotional stuff that usually is tied together. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Dena. Okay, so there's storage lockers in our body, and you guys know this. So for me, what this used to look like when I would get ready to do like a big speaking engagement is my stomach would just slowly start to bloat. Like, I'm stuffing all of my feelings in my stomach. I'd get like 6-month pregnancy of bloating from being nervous. And I wouldn't be able to eat afterwards. One time I figured out though what it was. So I was in Hawaii. It was amazing. doTERRA sent me to Hawaii. And the guy that was hosting me, he goes, why don't we go jump in the ocean after? And I go, okay. So we jump in the salt water, and my stomach went completely flat afterwards. So it was like the emotions that needed to discharge from that storage locker in my body. And then when I was introduced to oils, I started using a blend called Digestin and peppermint. And I would just take a drop, I'd put it on my wrist, and I'd lick it. And then I'd rub it all on my upper stomach where that gas was gathering, and I wouldn't get that reaction. It's because the oil was helping me to process not only the gas, but the emotion. So that's kind of what we were wanting to talk about here is, like, how does it showing up in your body? What are the tools we can use? And so that you can move forward and learn how to process that.
Yeah. So a lot of times, we see this in pyramid kind of type thing in just looking at how the wellness lifestyle can be approached. And of course, there's pillars that you want to kind of build upon. And the first thing is eating right. And, so we want to make sure that we're eating things that are conducive to our body. We're all unique and specific. And there's different foods that we each get better results with than someone else may. And so there's a lot of these, diets that we can follow, but they may not be exactly precise for what our bodies need. And that is one of the things that I do is I do offer food sensitivity testing. I feel like it's been a really huge benefit in finding some culprits that if you can reduce the amount of inflammation that's going on in your body by reducing an inflammatory food, it's a no-brainer to me. That's actually how my mom got such good results was we found out she had a wheat sensitivity. Along the time that we were introduced to oils, we also found out she had that wheat sensitivity. And lo and behold, that was one of the reasons that leaky gut was so prominent in her body, causing all of those other issues, the autoimmune disorder, the Hashimoto's, all the rheumatoid arthritis, all that stuff was stemming from eating foods that weren't right for her. And then it made it very difficult to exercise when you're in pain, right? And that's one of the things that she had issues with. I know, Kim, you've dealt with that as well. You know, you're a fear for injuring your body. And so therefore you just don't move. And that's really not how the body was designed. The body was designed to move. We are made to keep our muscles strong. That is how we maintain our youthfulness. And then on top of that, like I was just reading a study that the more exercise you partake in, the more mitochondria you make, which increases your energy production, which makes you feel more energetic, happy, and youthful. And so it's directly tied together. And then there's resting and managing your stress. And we know that just in the holistic realm of things, we know that sleep is your master hormone regulator. You know, so there's all these things we can do lifestyle wise before we even get to having to go and seek medical attention for XYZ that might end up something that's ailing us down the road. But if you are at that point, you definitely want to seek medical attention if you have something that is ailing you. And then the toxic load is another one that we really want to work on reducing. And that's it's going to overlap into what Kim and I are sharing with you tonight. All the things that we're giving you help to address all 4 of those things on the bottom. We have these cool little resources that come in very, very handy. It is the Essential Emotions book, or you can get it on an app on your phone. Now, with Kim's website, there is a 10% off on the book. And then if you want to use the app and have it, anywhere you are on your fingertips, you can use the app. I like having both. It's a very neat way to really get the information quickly.
Sorry, my older son came to the door, and then my dogs were like the Clampets in the background. So that's why I was muted.
Yeah, no worries.
So I love using, this is what I use for coaching. So on Mondays, I teach a healthy emotional processing group, and people just come with where is the storage locker? Where is the physical sensation showing up in your body? And then we can trace it back to the emotion, and then what oil for releasing it, and vice versa. So like we can start with a oil and trace it back to what's needed. So it's really interesting, and it's usually quite spot on. So that's what keeps people playing with it. So with the gassy or excessive appetite, so not setting boundaries, fear of saying no, emotions, this is some adjectives: anxious, fearful, indecisive, overwhelmed. And from the book, it'll have questions like this. So it'll have a look deeper question. Am I not comfortable with setting my boundaries around influential people? How can I respect my boundaries and have others respect them also? So in asking these questions, there's energy that shifts. Your brain goes, how can I answer that question? To make it a little easier, you can use a drop of essential oils. So for this one, I would use the blend called Digest Zen. And it's got peppermint and caraway and anise and ginger and lemon. And you would just take a drop in your hand. You're going to rub it together and breathe it in. Reconnect with your body. And then I would rub it over the belly. So it's a good time to kind of check in with yourself, like, how do I feel right now? Maybe write it down.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that gassy and excessive appetite were linked to the same emotional components, the fearful, the overwhelm. And that was really the underlying emotion that we deal with when we're experiencing those things.
Mm-hmm. There's a book about this. It's called Walter Farts? It's about a dog that's really gassy, and I'll have to find it, but it's a really good one. You thought I was going to say something intellectual, huh?
If you go to the next page, I think when we look up the word fearful, it gives the several different essential oils that you can support with. But then I went ahead and just kind of picked brave because it was one of the top ones. And so when you look at that oil of courage, go ahead, Kim, you can go ahead and explain this because I know I love the way you explain it.
Yeah, like, so when you look up the adjective, usually, like, so if I were to look up, so like, what was it, indecisive, or so we're looking up fearful.
This one was fearful.
So then she went ahead, just to give you an example, to pick brave. But usually what you do is you'd read off all those oils in your head, and whichever one your brain picks out, that's like, oh, that one, that's your intuition. That's your body going, that one, you know? Or if I were to read this list to you, you would hear one or two of them louder than you would the others. And that's also your intuition saying those ones. And then you would take the oil and breathe it in, and you would ask the look deeper question to journal. What is the root of my fear? What will it take for me to process this fear? So you really have to answer that question, for you to release that storage locker in your physical body. And so what the oil is doing is, it's like helping you to change the energy in that field of your body, like the channels, kind of like an acupuncture needle, but you're using the oil and you're using your mind to move that. Okay, so that's kind of how that works. And then we have overwhelmed, and then she chose basil. Oh, I love basil. It does so much for, like, if you're really, really tired and you put a drop of basil on the top of your head, like within 5 minutes, like it's like you had like a cup of coffee without the crack feeling. And it's amazing for pain and for getting that overwhelmed feeling to like calm down. Like all of a sudden now you're like, okay, I know what I need to do. Like, this is the most important task for me to get done right now. So we can just read this off. The oil of renewal. The symptoms of adrenal exhaustion help identify the main moods that are improved with basil, primarily fatigue, low energy, being overwhelmed, the inability to cope with life stressors. Basil oil is also helpful for recovery from negative habits. It gives hope and optimism to the tired soul. Basil may assist an individual in giving up false stimulants or helping them with substance abuse. In short, basil is indicated for those who are weary in mind and body, and for those in need of strength and renewal. So that's why it helps so much when you need energy. And I mean, I am a recovering alcoholic, so I love, like, I don't know. So I guess basil's meat for me.
I love basil too. It's one of my go-tos.
Well, since you said that using it for in place of over-the-counter pain relievers, using it in a capsule, that I'm like, wow, like if people just knew that,
Yeah.
they don't have to use the stuff that's going to destroy their liver and their kidneys. They can use it.
Yeah, we've recovered from surgeries with it. It's Jordan, she's on here. She had her wisdom teeth pulled, and basil was one of the best oils that gave her the most relief, which is awesome. So she did it without any narcotics or anything, which is amazing.
It's a powerful experience when I'm doing the emotion coaching with people and they read this, because you want them to read it in their own voice when they breathe the oil, because it does this special chemistry in your brain. So the oil is going in and crossing the blood-brain barrier, and it's balancing those hormones in there. So now you're not in fight or flight, you're in rest and digest. So what I like to tell people is like, it's like when you go to church and they're singing first. The singing is supposed to soften you to hear the message. So it's like the oil, when it comes into your body, it's like just softening you so that the rest of the systems can receive the healing, And then when they read this in their voice, it's the perfect vibrational healing for them, like a radio station, like you're tuning it to their perfect healing station. So I think it's very interesting. You want to do this one?
Sure. So when we have reflux or a gallbladder issue, it can be an underlying issue of trusting the good in yourself and relationships in life as well. And the underlying emotion tends to be usually blaming ourselves. And I highlighted this one. This is the one I chose because I think a lot of us deal with this. I heard one of my friends say, I would never talk to another human the way that I talk to myself in my head. And so I think that we often tend to be very self-critical and blame ourselves for a lot of things. And so that is why I did end up choosing that word. But also things like defensiveness, indecisiveness, constricted, shock. And then the look deeper, we want to ask questions like, am I ready to release grudges that I've held on to for a long time? And why am I angry at myself? And do I have shock that has not been fully processed? And so you would, to get the result, you would do the work and actually ask those questions.
So many times people with that hiatal hernia, it's when they've had an accident coming, like they can see that they're going to get in a car accident and they go, and then they suck that fundus, that part of their stomach up into under their ribs. So it's like taking, so like same, like you would take like one of the digestive oils and you'd be massaging it down.
Mhm.
Like you're encouraging that top part of your stomach to like go back under, so that's a good choice. Like if you have reflux before you go to bed, I would put a drop of the digestin in water to drink, or I would put lemon essential oil. Lemon, because it comes from the rind, it's alkaline. And then the fruit on the inside is acid. So the essential oil is just from the rind. So one drop of doTERRA's lemon oil is the equivalent to 5 medium organic lemons. So in a bottle of lemon, I think is $12 or $13. So you've got 300 drops in there. It's like, what is it, 300 times 5 of how many lemons you're getting. So it's very economical, and you're going to be working on quelching the acid in a natural way that's not going to cause issues in your bones. I know many of my clients that were on some harmful antacids, it's not really fixing the problem. It's a Band-Aid on a check engine light. And your body still has to balance that acid and alkaline. So if you're constantly using an antacid, your body's like, well, where do I get the alkaline from now? It's going to take it from your bones and your teeth. It's not fixing the problem. So I understand when people have been through a health event and they're put on medications, it's a placeholder, I think, for most of the time, but it's not a long-term plan. So what we do is we help people find a long-term plan that's going to work for their body and their longevity.
Yeah, there is a big, huge stress that happens on your body with not having enough of the hydrochloric acid to break down your nutrients. And in the end, what it does is it does make you nutrient deficient. And that's where we get into the trouble, because about 98% of disease comes from some sort of lack of vitamin or mineral.
So from the past one that you were talking about, from blaming self in the gallbladder. So if we were looking up blaming self, and then you chose bergamot from this list here, the oil of acceptance. So coincidentally, bergamot is a liver detoxer and gallbladder. So if you were drinking this in water, then you're naturally supporting that cleansing process, because your liver is your trash can in your body. So someone's got to take out the trash. Otherwise, it starts showing up in your skin. It starts showing up in other parts of your body. So good to just daily take out the trash. That makes sense. But I really love bergamot. I tend to use this one in my diffuser because breathing it in, it like lifts my mood so fast. It's a heavy on limonene and some of the chemicals that balance your mood and bring up your serotonin and dopamine in your body. So that's a really nice one to diffuse. and also drinking it internally. So abdominal discomfort. So like as a child, like little kids will say my stomach hurts. They're not going to tell you I have anxiety. They're going to say my stomach hurts. So it starts at a really young age, so we that will continue on into adulthood for a lot of people who don't have the connection between understanding their emotions and how it shows up in their physical body. So part of this class is wanting to help you guys like listen to your signals. Like, so, okay, oh, my stomach is hurting. What's going on right now? Who am I with? What situation am I in? And then using your coping skills, and not, that kind of thing. I tell people like, you're kind of like a little rabbit, especially post-COVID. People are like little rabbits, like if you stress it out, hair falls out and it stops eating and then it cowers in a corner. So we need to rebuild our stress resilience. Remember how we there's all these things that we could do before COVID. Like I would have like 40 people at my house, no problem. Now I wouldn't ever think of that. Or going to Disneyland. It's like we have to rebuild that stress resilience. So if I get back to the abdominal stuff, you can ask the question. So am I reinforcing positive or negative beliefs with my current thinking? Am I digesting something that is not at home with my current beliefs? What will it take for me to accept myself as I am? You're silly. He made an avatar for me. So I really love using adaptive. I don't know if it is the one that you put over here. It's specifically made for helping your body get back out of that fight or flight and back into rest and digest. So you can breathe it in, you can rub it over your stomach. You can put one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest and connect your feet to the ground and do some deep breathing. This just helps you get back inside your body. A lot of times, you can even just try this now without essential oil, but I'll rub my hands together. It's something they teach in yoga. So it just helps you so that it clears your mind. You're not in the past, you're not in the future. You're right here, right now in this moment. But it works a lot better when you use oils, and then you can breathe it in and you're like, oh, I'm back, I'm fine, but it's very interesting. And I mean, we have to let ourselves kind of like grieve a little bit for the inner child, that little version of ourselves, the 5-year-old, that what we went through, and then remembering we're still that 5-year-old now, just in an adult body. We got our wild orange and peppermint. So this would be like if you had these two, and right now, do I have them right here? These ones work so good for mood lifting and helping you connect with your feelings. So I would do 1 drop of each, rub my hands together, breathe it in. So this would be a good intervention. If you're like, everyone in the room is pissed off, like it's like a Thanksgiving dinner and someone said the wrong thing, I would blast the room with wild orange and peppermint, and everyone's like, I forgot all about it. Like, let's just like with the water that beads off the duck's back. Peppermint buoys the spirit. Wild orange lifts your mood. It helps you have childlike glee and excitement. These are really good ones for people to connect with. And it's for homeostasis. It helps every cell in your body come back into harmony. So it's like, at the symphony, you've got the winds and you've got the, I forget the different parts of the orchestra,
I love how educated you guys are. I feel like for me as a wellness advocate, these things are so key for me to, like the way you just said a few minutes ago, you were like, yeah, 5 lemons are equivalent to, like, it just rolls off. So I would really like to focus on that for myself, because I feel like that will help me like share just little fun facts. I'm like really impressed over here.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
It only took 12 years.
Oh God, you're so funny.
I'll take the compliment though. Thank you.
Yeah. So here's kind of how stress shows up in your body. And I like to just kind of put this in here because sometimes we don't notice that stress is managing our life for us and we're kind of go on autopilot. And, so we may see things like decreased thyroid levels and weight gain, a slower metabolism as we age. And we might see things like changes in our joints, or we soft tissue injury. We get bruises and stuff more easily. Our insulin levels start to fluctuate a little bit. Maybe the doctor says, oh, you might be, might need to watch your blood sugar a little bit more, pre blood sugar exposed, the insulin resistance. That's another, thing that they like to throw out there pretty often. And honestly, it's about 93% of Americans that have some sort of blood sugar imbalance. That's a huge amount. I think studies a few years ago were 1 in 4, but with all the stress of everything that's happened over the last few years, it's now even lower. And so it's pretty scary. And, that's going to affect the brain, and they're calling Alzheimer's now a type 3 diabetes. And so, we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support our overall brain health and not have any kind of neurodegeneration happening. And then also too, like Kim said, the liver is the trash can. It's got over 500 functions that it's doing. There's times where it needs to rest and heal and just take a minute. We used to fast back in, years ago, and we haven't done that in a long time. We're constantly throwing garbage in, and it's got to process all that garbage that we're eating. And so things like food sensitivities are more prevalent. We get like we talked about with my mom, the leaky gut. We are more susceptible to fungus and yeast problems, and a whole dysbiosis, which is the inability to maintain good microbiome in the gut. And we have this overgrowth of the bad bacteria and under supply of the good bacteria. Like Kim says, Gotham City in the gut, right? We need more Batmans, and we have nothing but a whole bunch of Jokers going on. And the gut is kind of like I don't know if you've seen the movie Gremlins, but it's like if you start feeding one, they just multiply like crazy. And then you get a whole bunch of critters in there that don't belong and are not friendly to you. And so we want to do what we can to prevent that and give you good resources. And so we'll talk about that. Oh, and this just kind of points out, like, and you can take a screenshot of this, but vitamin B is so important, 1 through 12. It is essential for your overall brain health. There's a whole bunch of chemistry that happens when you have good B vitamin supplementation. There's a lot of studies now that show that it's linked to mood, immunity, whether we can focus, our mental clarity, our capacity to think clear, and then our DNA synthesis, which is very important, as well as metabolism, energy, skin, hair, nails, all that fun stuff.
I found my digestion finally.
Yay. And so one of the key things that you can do to help promote your overall health is the lifelong vitality. I am an advocate for this. I've been on it since it came out. It has been an absolute game changer for many of my clients and for me and my family. It helps to promote the general wellness and vitality, keeping you as youthful as possible while protecting all that DNA and improving your metabolism, your bone health, keeping your immune system functioning like it's designed to, promoting good cardiovascular health. One of the benefits that I love most is the metabolism support that you get with the lifelong vitality. And there's so many key nutrients here for your overall mood.
Well, this is the first time I got back into taking pills. Because remember, I was on all those psych meds. So I was like anti-pill everything for years. And then when I was starting to use the oils and doTERRA, and my friend said the reason why she used the Lifelong Vitality is for her depression. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's what made me get into it. But I mean, now that I've researched so much and being a colon therapist, people would tell me what supplements they're on. And I'm seeing the pills go out the tube. Like their body can't process it. It's not bioavailable. They need like supplements that come from food, not like a lab, you know?
Yes. And I am a very, very strong believer in preparing the gut well. When I first met Kim, one of the things that she would talk about is how we have these little cilia, hairy like fibers that are inside the gut, the lining, and that helps to kind of move the food through the gut lining as it's designed to move. You have a hole that starts here that ends behind you. And in that entire hole, things are designed to move. They're not designed to stay stuck. And a lot of times we get very mucus in the gut lining and it gunks up. It gets a whole bunch of debris caught. And that's when we start getting bacteria. The segments in the gut can start to get leaky and separate. And then you have proteins and other things that don't belong slipping into the bloodstream. And then we have an immune response because those things don't belong in the bloodstream and your body thinks they're foreign invaders. And so we want to cut down on that. One of the things that I have found to be super, super beneficial is the pairing of black pepper and ginger. The black pepper, it has an emotional component to it as well, but it stimulates gastric motility. So it gets the gut moving in a fashion that it's designed to eliminate instead of stasis and growing bacteria and stuff like that. And so a couple of the things that the black pepper and the ginger together do is the black pepper helps with unmasking, getting real, digging deep for motives, and then the feelings that have been maybe repressed or buried. It really helps to support that emotional honesty as well. And it encourages motivation, self-awareness, and integrity. And then the ginger is really good for empowering, for being committed, capable, purposeful, accountable. It teaches us that to be successful in life, one must wholly be committed to life, right? And so just really helping that balance in the gut and in life in general. And you probably have some goodies to add to that.
Oh, well, I just love these together. I
Yeah.
mean, because black pepper is helping us, it's not only like moving stuff through, it's a blood tonic. They're both blood tonics. So it's like cleaning the gunk, like you were saying, the things that have leaked from the digestive tract into the bloodstream, it's cleaning it out. And then because, like I teach people like essential oils for addiction, let me do a shameless plug. I wrote a book on it. So it's a workbook using essential oils as holistic coping tools to go through the 12 steps to further addiction. Black pepper and ginger, it's so helpful for helping somebody break a habit. Just breathing it in and then using it internally, you're preparing your system, for something new. So that's going to be on our next slide. Oh, this is my fun toilet picture I took. These are some of the really good products for getting yourself back on track. So like my dad, he doesn't like to use straight up oils because he's like a manly man. It doesn't want to smell like peppermint and ginger. So the soft gels are really great for him. So here's the oil that you can just use drops in your water to drink, or you can massage it onto your stomach, or you can take it in a soft gel form. I love doTERRA's probiotics and enzymes. I've taken very expensive kinds, and doTERRA's was cheaper and better. So when people are like, how good are these probiotics? I'm like, I used to be a colon therapist and I've taken them all. So I know the difference. And I've been on those for, I guess 12 years. So very helpful. So part of what I want to share about probiotics is it's good to put the good bacteria in, but you have to feed them. So you need to have fiber. So if your good bacterias were like sea monkeys, like we need to feed your sea monkeys. If you're taking good probiotics, but you're not eating any fiber, then you're not gonna encourage, sustainability in there. So it's kind of like you're wasting it. So you need to feed it. So we're giving it good greens, we're giving it good fiber. If do you want to explain about the protein? Because you said that's a like when people have had an injury in a hospital, the dietitian will have more protein in their diet.
Yeah, we found in the hospital, there's tons of studies out now that if you don't have adequate amounts of protein, your body will not start the healing process. So we'd see patients in the hospital who weren't eating very well, just have wounds or maybe they had a hip surgery post-surgical and their wounds just wouldn't heal. And it was because they weren't taking in enough protein. Your body needs a lot of protein in order to heal itself. And protein's the key to if you're going to store fat, where you're going to store fat, how you're going to build muscle, whether you're maintain your DNA. Like there's so many components of protein. This one is the vegan, and we do have like a chocolate and a vanilla that are whey based, but I prefer the vegan. I mix it in water. You can mix it in whatever kind of milk or nut milk that you like, or in water. And you can add the greens to it. You can add the fiber to it. To me, it tastes great all together. The fiber is very like an apple juice kind of taste to me.
Yeah, it
Does
is.
it kind of taste to you too?
Yeah. So the protein I mix the fiber and the greens in water with my little
Yeah.
frother mixer, and I just drink that. I do that in the afternoon because then I don't want sugar. So
Yeah.
like for my people that are trying to quit sugar, I go do the fiber and the greens in the late afternoon, because then you'll eat your dinner, and then you really just don't want anything. So it's
Mm-mm.
really great. It balances your blood sugar and then you're satisfied. The protein I do in the morning with a smoothie. So that's what I do like before I go to work out. But you can totally do that in a mid-afternoon too.
Yeah, you can do the protein during your crash time. So in the time where you are the snackiest, it's a great way to combat that, along with we have another product that we're going to talk about, and those go really good together for just really kicking cravings absolutely under the rug, not to so that you're not struggling with that. But protein, oh my goodness, like this, we've been on this one for since it came out. Oh my goodness, I love it. It is like I can be super, super hungry, and it's just a game changer for me. I feel completely satisfied after I use the protein.
Can I say something about about protein?
Absolutely.
So protein is really good before like get to have for your breakfast, and then really after working out, as you stated, because when you're trying to help build muscle and get rid of fat, that protein will be excellent for after a workout. So I just wanted to kind of like chip in and like concur with you there on that point. It definitely will help build muscle.
Yeah. Yeah. They say within an hour of your workout is best.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you. I stand with you.
Love it. Thank you for pointing that out. I love it.
I concur.
I concur.
Reminds me of that Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. And then this has just been an absolute game changer as well. I love the protein with the MetaPower. Kim, you have an amazing story with the MetaPower, but I think it's funny. So I saw my mom in September when I got the MetaPower, and my hair was probably this much shorter. And so then I just saw her last month, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, your hair." And I was like, "I know, it's MetaPower hair."
Going fast.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing any makeup right now. I put blush on and a little bit of lipstick, and I've noticed that my skin has filled in like so nice, especially over the summer because I spend a lot of time in the sun. So like I'm like getting a little leathery. So it's like, oh, it's good for my skin. I've noticed my hair has grown a lot too. I cut mine maybe like to here, maybe like 3 months ago. So it's already grown back. But the main thing that I'm taking it for is for pain relief. I've spent thousands of dollars on pain relief. So people that know me, they know that it's really important for me to be comfortable. And that's like my whole life. Every training I've ever taken, I was a rolfer, a massage therapist, colon hydrotherapist, yamana body rolling. Everything I come in contact with, it's the hope that I'll get relief finally, and that I can share that with others. And when I started taking MetaPower, I was like, oh my God, what would I do if I got out of pain? It took about a month and a half. And I'm like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Like I was living off turmeric and all the oils, but I was still living at a 4 or 5 in pain. Right. And then I'd still have to sneak my ibuprofen a couple times a week. So that's really not way for anyone to live. You know, I'm only 30, I'm 36 now. And then I started taking my MetaPower, and I have been able to go to spin class every day for the past 4 months. I'm not hurt. I'm not injured. I'm constantly telling people like what a miracle this is. It's like, anyway, so I have to keep sharing this with people because I want them to feel better. That's like everything I've ever wanted for anyone. So it's made of 9 different kinds of marine collagen. So like my husband and I were taking the collagen just like from Costco, which is like chicken or beef. There's only 2 different kinds of collagen in there. So it's working on soft tissue and it's working on, you know, I don't know, something else. But I didn't notice anything. It never changed anything for me. And my husband actually had mood swings from it. So we don't really know what that's about. But everyone I've ever talked to that has switched from whatever crappy collagen they were taking before to this one, they're like, whoa, like I can feel a big difference. So you can read some of the things that are on this. So the main thing is about the leaky gut thing. So there's 800 different types of autoimmune just since like, I don't know what, the 80s or 90s, all the different kinds. It used to just be like the one that they thought you were crazy, fibromyalgia. And now they're like, oh, you're not crazy. It's real. And there's 800 different types of autoimmune now. And so what happens in your gut lining, is there a picture in the next slide or is it?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. So you know how like when you see a picture of the intestines and how it has those little humps in it. So in between the humps, it starts to get kind of weak from taking antibiotics and from eating foods that your body's intolerant to, or not cleansing, or not eating enough protein or collagen. And so now the things are getting into your bloodstream, and like what Dena explained, now these are foreign bodies that are in your blood, and your body's going, what is this? And it's going to have an immune system response and attack itself. That's what you call an autoimmune response. So that's going to show up as aches and pains that change on a daily basis. It's going to feel like you're hungry all the time and you're never satisfied. You're not able to sleep well. The list goes on. So when we take the proper collagen that's for healing the soft tissue and the entire lining of your digestive tract, now it's going to fill in those spaces so that you're going to have a stronger digestive tract and everybody's happier and you're not leaking weird crap into your bloodstream anymore. So when we realized that that's what was happening with the collagen, now I'm like, I gotta have it. I mean, I was already taking it every day for my pain relief, but now like my son, who's 14, he was on antibiotics several times in the past couple of years because he'd get these like staph infection boils on his skin. And he's been listening to me talk about this. And he's like, can I take that? I was on antibiotics. I'm like, yes. Like, so my 14-year-old is asking me for it. Like, you know, yes, son, you can have the healing. I don't have to tell him. Oh, you're on mute, Dena.
These are some of the common food sensitivities that we do see. So when the gut is leaky, when these things slip into the bloodstream, we tend to notice more autoimmunity, more problems, more allergies, like even the sinus stuff, not just the gut stuff. So wheat and gluten, soy, dairy, artificial sweeteners. I'm never been a fan of artificial sweeteners. They actually trick your body into thinking that you ate something sweet. And so you do have a lot of times you do have the response. Peanuts, corn, and then we're seeing more and more with eggs. And I find it interesting because they make a lot of our vaccines with eggs. And so that didn't used to be the case. I've been doing food sensitivities for almost 12 years, and that has not been the case until just recently. So what I can equate that to is there is a lot of egg protein in some of our vaccines that we are using. So I think that's why we're seeing a lot more of that.
Let me unmute myself. Sorry. The wheat gluten thing, I think, is very interesting. The things that you were telling me earlier about children.
Yeah, I can share that. So I was just on the phone with a doctor earlier this week, and he was telling me about, he does food sensitivity testing. And one of the things I said, well, how did you get into it? And he was telling me the story that his son was about 9 years old and was very suicidal and acting just really strange. And he's like, he has no reason to act like this. He's got no childhood trauma, like, none of the normal cues for that kind of behavior. And so he did some, he had him tested and found he had DNA testing done. And on his DNA, he found that he had a wheat sensitivity, not celiac, but it was a wheat sensitivity that caused changes in his neurotransmitters, especially like epinephrine, norepinephrine, dopamine, to where it would make his mood so low that it would trigger him to have those suicidal thoughts and tendencies. And so by keeping him off of the wheat, he's been able to have his normal kid back. And what's interesting is I was like, man, think about all the people that are just walking around with sensitivity like that and don't even know it, and our poor children, and he was like, man, think of how many school shootings that we've had that were probably food related. And I was just like, whoa, yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that's pretty intense.
Yeah. It's important for people to know, like, since you do those scans, like people need to get a scan so they can see.
It is eye-opening for sure.
So people that don't have a doTERRA account and they're like, I need the healing, I need to get my goodies so that I don't crap my pants anymore. I'm just kidding. I'm just so sick of crapping my pants. I don't know, most people that they just want to feel better. They want to sleep. They don't want to be in pain. They want to figure out what's going on with their gut and their food sensitivities. So they actually get freebies. So everybody needs a diffuser, if not 3. I've got one in every room in my house. And then this is the adaptive, the one that's formulated specifically for calming your nervous system from fight or flight to rest and digest. I use this one quite often. I use it in my kids' bath to help them chill them out with a little bit of Epsom salt. I was telling Dena about this earlier. One of my favorite mixes is adaptive and supermint. So if you get oils, make sure you get supermint so you can mix it with the adaptive because it smells so freaking good together. Let me see what the next slide is. Oh, I think that's our last slide.
That is it.
So yeah, just let me know what's going on. If you have anyone that's wanting oils, get them in contact with me. I've got the promo code that they need to get those freebies. But otherwise, we teach every Wednesday, 6 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern. And all of our topics have to do with recovery, wellness, and helping people get their health back. So we have any questions?
I think Candace would just like the video. I'm looking for it right now.
Oh, the 12-minute video that okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have if you look me up, my channel is Essential Oils for Addiction. And I post all of my classes there. They're not all on addiction. It's just that I have only one channel to post my videos on. So yeah, anything you want to learn about using the oils for emotional health. And every Monday I host a special group for those that are wanting to learn how to use holistic tools for processing their emotions. So I can get you that information if you like.
And I would love to know, like, what was your top takeaway? Was there anything that really resonated as far as like the emotions and how it's playing out in your life?
Yeah, all of the above.
All the above?
All of the above. Especially emotionally, they definitely resonate and make sense. Also, if it's okay, I would like to vouch for. I've known Kim since I'm Jordan. I'm Dena's daughter. I've known Kim since I was 10 years old. So I grew up with Kim. But both of them are extremely smart and extremely knowledgeable. And I'm a huge advocate for the scan. I used to have very, very, very painful, like stomach cramps in my stomach ever since I was a kid. And my mom actually did the scan for me and found out that I was gluten sensitive. I cut out the gluten, no more horrific cramps. I'm talking to the point where I could not get off the couch. And yeah, I mean, I feel like I've gotten to be like the healthiest I've ever been. And if it wasn't for mom, I definitely would not be that way. So, but I appreciate both of you, and you guys are both extremely knowledgeable.
Oh, thank you. We love you.
Love you, Jordan. And Jordan is going through the emotion code training. She's going to do my session on Saturday. I'm proud of you, Jordan.
Exciting.
Nice
Thanks,
job,
I
Jordan.
appreciate
Nice
that.
job.
Thank you.
Candace, did you get that video?
Let me check before
It's in
we,
the chat. It'd be
Okay,
the
let
second
me-
one. The second one down, yeah.
let's see.
I think
Yeah, baby.
okay. I think it kicked me off when I shared it on the other one. So I'll have to give it to Kim, and Kim, you can pass it down. I was like, I don't know what happened. It booted me.
Well, thanks,
But I
everybody.
think, am I off mute? Let me see. Can
You
y'all hear
are
me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that I love both of the classes were awesome. So if we pay attention to our bodies, like if I eat a certain food, my body will tell me like, girl, you was tripping. Why would you even eat that? Like now I'm tired. Now I'm tired. But
Mhm.
when I stick to like the super greens and stuff like that, it really works well. And then the other thing that I would encourage you is, you know, again, I know I said it in the first class, but like really stay focused. So if you're doing doTERRA supplements, doTERRA's greens or whatever, stick with that. Don't jump from company to company, because then you're not giving your body a chance to really find out if it's working or not. So stick with one thing, and if it doesn't work, fine. But you know, I just wanted to share that.
Thanks, Candace.
Yeah, I love y'all.
Love you too.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, have a beautiful evening. I'll post the recording on my channel tomorrow, or if you're on our Facebook group, then you'll see it there.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Bye.